funky chicken.
What's that?
I said ooh, 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 ooh. One more time now. Ooh, ooh. The show that I do most of the time, it's about choices. So, you know, let go of the things you don't have control over and use your power of choice to influence the things that you do. So that's kind of the biggest takeaway, but that's a very complex issue as well, and everyone's life is different, so it's hard to say with an absolute, let go of the things you don't have control over. Well, that's easier said than done, especially when something really bad happens or we have to deal with something that, you know, there are things in life that happen to us that eventually we don't have to deal with anymore, and then there are things in life that happen to us that we'll have to deal with every single day for the rest of our lives. And those are the things that are even more difficult to let go of. Doesn't mean that you forget about it, but you have to learn to live with certain things. So I'm motivated by experiences. You know, there's a lot of research in what it is that we appreciate about life and what motivates us, and they're finding more and more and more that the biggest factor for people are experiences. Experiences of all different sorts. So I'm much more interested in different experiences, meeting different people, getting to go to different places, trying different things. And self-actualization, which is achieving something and having that moment where you're like, I did this because I worked hard at it. It was something that I wanted to do. So I'm motivated by self-actualization and experiences. When going to work on a cruise ship was a big deal. I was 19 at the time. I was going by myself. So I traveled, got a passport by myself, had to fly down to Miami, missed my flight that was supposed to go and put me on the ship for like my first training. Not because of anything I did, just my flight got delayed and I missed the boat. So I had to stay in Miami a night by myself, meet up with somebody else. And so getting that independence of experiencing life and just going out and doing whatever you need to do to get to where you need to go. You know, a lot of people don't like doing that. They would never go travel by themselves. They would never go take a job by themselves without the security of having somebody else with them. So doing those and having those experiences early on, I think gave me a lot of confidence that I can do what I want to do. You know, roadblocks are one of those things where when you're in the moment, you don't know that they're roadblocks. I just always look at things, okay, so what do we got to do? You know, whatever happens, whatever gets in the way, all right, what do we got to do next? And I think when you keep that mentality, you don't ever then look back and be like, oh, that was such a huge thing that we had to overcome. You know, there's always things to overcome. There are always things that aren't going to work the way that you want them to. There are always going to be things that disrupt whatever direction you're going. And if you focus on those, you lose sight of where it is that you want to go. I give you $100 and you go out and you buy something, you will have a good feeling. And that will last for X amount of time. If I give you $100 and you go out and you do something for somebody else, that good feeling lasts a lot longer. So charity is very necessary in our society because we need to make sure that we're helping as many people as we can, but you actually get more benefits when you do something nice for somebody else than you do doing something for yourself. That's not to say you should never do anything for yourself. It's not to say that you can't do anything for yourself. So I've always been a firm believer in finding ways to give to other people. That might just be time, it might just be a smile, it might be raising funds, it might be participating in something. You know, it's always a great question when it comes to people who do what I do for a living is the why is it that you do it? And for me, knowing that I wanted to do it at an early age, it's a combination of personal need for that immediate gratification when you're on stage. It's very enticing. You know, for a lot of people, it's something similar to an addiction. And by addiction, meaning you get certain things out of it that makes you want them more. I mean, you love being on stage. I have the comedy aspect and I love making people laugh. So when you get a really big laugh, it's a good feeling to be able to do that. But I've also always been a thinker and I've always enjoyed philosophy and exploring the choices that we make and the values that we have and keeping it open, you know, those things. So I like being able to do a little bit of both. Making people laugh and entertaining people has always been a thing that I enjoy. But with the speaking side, you really get to also then get those individuals to explore their own lives, their own choices, their own motivations that hopefully will lead to them bettering themselves. You know, you can come in and just do an hour-long comedy show or some jokes and there's benefits to laughter and it's a lot of fun, it's a great release. But a year from now or 5 years down Now, will they be better off because of that? And you can argue, yes, they will, because they had that relief and it might have been a stress relief and yada yada. But when you can give people information and you can give people advice that might help make their life a little bit better, I think you have a much more lasting impression. You know, don't get to that point where you think you're so amazing that you forget that these are still just human beings just like you. So there was one person who had a great piece of advice that he had gotten that kind of fell into that thing, and he was growing up and he was a really good mime when he was really young. Like, he has this great background story of a kind of a latchkey kid and not really good parenting, but found somebody on the boardwalk in Los Angeles and became a mime. And when he was getting really good and he was kind of in his late teens, he was getting kind of cocky, and he was getting kind of, I'm amazing. And somebody sat him down and said, listen, you're never going to be Mickey Mouse. He was like, what? He goes, you will never be Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse is a non-human icon. No one will ever surpass his greatness. So check yourself, humble it down a little bit, and realize that you're a human being with flaws, and you're never gonna achieve that, you know, godlike state that you think that you're in right now. Be nice. You know, to every person that you meet, every person that you work with, be nice, because most people, if they like you, they'll hire you again in some capacity because they just want to see you again. You know, there are a lot of people who work as speakers or who get hired as speakers that aren't very nice, and they treat the people that they're working with, you know, they have kind of that prima donna idea. And yeah, there are things that you have to have in order to present and do the program that you want to do. And as long as those things are taken care of, everything else is superficial. You know, you hear the stories of so-and-so needing roses in their dressing room or room temperature water and all that stuff. You know, that's all stuff you can take care of yourself. Like, that's no big deal. Is there a microphone? Good. Is there a CD player or a music connection? Perfect. I'm done. That's it. That's all I need.